Hey guys, welcome to Legacy Minutes for January 10th, 2020. Tonight I want to take just a couple of minutes and talk to you about something that's really important for us being legacy men, and that is our need for community, our need for the brotherhood. Humanity was created with a need for other people. We were created in the image of God, and the Bible tells us that God is a Trinitarian being, that he has three persons in one Godhead, the Father, the Son, and the Holy Spirit. And that need for community was put into man when he created us. In fact, the only thing that God said wasn't good in the garden when he got done creating was the fact that man was alone. And so he created Eve. And we see throughout the scriptures that men need other people. The Proverbs tell us that iron sharpens iron, so one man sharpens another. It tells us the story of a threefold cord cannot be broken. We know that men need community, but that's something that we're afraid of. Men have a real struggle to get into deep relationship with other men. That doesn't mean that we don't have relationships. It doesn't mean that we don't get together and talk about football or ask the all-important question of what do you do? You know, that's our first question we ask another guy. What do you do? But it's the real deep things that we struggle with, getting vulnerable with other guys, asking other guys about how their heart's doing, asking other guys how their marriage is doing, asking other guys how maybe their struggle with pornography is doing. We struggle getting vulnerable with other guys, and yet it's one of the things that we desperately need to really be the legacy men God has called us to be. We need relationships. We need to be available. As Paul says in Galatians chapter 6, verse 2, we need to be ready to bear one another's burden and thus fulfill the law of Christ. We need to be those men. We need to be available to see what's going on in our brothers' lives. We should be cognizant of what's happening in their marriages, what's happening in their lives. We should be able to say, hey, brother, I see something going sideways here. Are you okay? Can I pray for you? Can we get together and have coffee? We need that. We desperately need that. It's part of passing on our legacy. Paul told Timothy this in 2 Timothy chapter 2 when he said, hey, Timothy, what you have learned from me, preach and pour into other guys so that they could also pour into other guys. Having that bond of community, that bond of brotherhood is something that has to happen for us to live out the legacy that God has called us to. Men, don't be afraid. Don't be afraid to be vulnerable with other guys. Don't be afraid to seek out brotherhood, to seek out relationship, to go beyond the surface level conversation. You desperately need it for your soul's sake. The enemy wants nothing more than to get you alone so that he can wreck your life. But when we're in brotherhood, that becomes increasingly more difficult for him to do because we are surrounding each other, bearing one another's burdens, and upholding each other when we need to be upheld. So I'm challenging you with this tonight. Find some brothers. If you've got them, get together with them. If you haven't gotten together with them in a while, call them up right now. Text them. Say, I'm thinking about you. I'm praying for you. How are you doing? Let's get together and have coffee. If you don't have a brotherhood to get together with, then you need to find one. Get to your local church. Get into the men's ministry. If you're struggling to find it, email me, Carrie@LegacyMan.net. I would be happy to try to connect you with some other guys in your town because it's that important for us to be the men that God has called us to be. You can't do it alone. There's no such thing as a Lone Ranger Christian. There's no such thing as a legacy man who's by himself. Where's the legacy in that? I'm praying for you. Hope you have an amazing weekend this weekend as you spend time with your family and friends and love on them and point them to Jesus. Until next time, God bless.